welcome to Essential Oil Truths. My name is Stacey Haluka and I'm your host and the co-author of The Unspoken Truth About Essential Oils. And today I have a very special guest with me, Dr. Joy Bowles, all the way from Australia. Welcome, Dr. Joy.
Hello, everybody. Thanks
Happy
for
to
having
have
me,
you here
Stacey.
with us.
Yeah.
Dr. Joy and I actually met just over a year ago in New York City as we were being interviewed for the Netflix series Unwell, the
Mm.
essential oil episode, which is the first episode in that series. So I was happy to have met you in person, and here we are just a little bit of a year later and on screen. It's nighttime here and it's morning for you. So good morning to you.
Thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Nice.
Dr.
Lovely.
Joy is best known for her contribution to the understanding of the essential oil chemistry in the aromatherapy community. She gained her PhD in the effects of essential oils on cognitive function in dementia. She is also author of Dr. Joy's Aromatherapy book, as well as The Chemistry of Aromatherapeutic Oils in use of aromatherapy courses around the world. So, Dr. Joy, you've made a huge impact in the aromatherapy community, and you continue to do so. You created, I believe it was the first aromatherapy course in Australia back in 1991.
That's right. Yes, it was on the back of a visit from Dr. Daniel Penawell, who was very much taken with tea tree oil when it was first being developed as a commercial product. And he came out to Australia, to Sydney, and gave a lecture series. And the woman who contacted me to say, can you please design a course in chemistry? She was one of the founders of the International Federation of Aromatherapy in Australia. So yeah, Pamela Taylor, she was my kind of entree into the whole field of aromatherapy. But yeah, so it came off Daniel Penawell's work. And I give him great credit, and Pierre Francon. I mean, this good old green book, that's the Bible as it was back then for aromatherapy chemistry. And I actually asked him, could I translate it into English, because I speak French, and he said no. so so okay, well, now what do I do? And so I thought, right, well, these people are crying out for information. They don't have much science. The idea of atoms and molecules and little stick diagrams, and even the very concept that lavender oil, for example, is not just one thing, and you take a drop of lavender and it's just all lavender oil, but it's actually a mixture, maybe even 300 different components, some of which are in greater percentage than others. But each essential oil is, in a sense, its own perfume, blended together with many different components that the plants make for their own purposes.
And thank you for saying that. That was one thing I was fascinated with after I had been injured and after my experience, and I started learning more, is just how many different chemical constituents are in each essential oil. And some of them have similar chemical constituents. So I became allergic to, so many essential oils and sensitized to so many other different essential oils. And it was all this cross-referencing, and it really brought me down this whole hole of what can I use? Can I use any of them? And so I really delved in a little deeper into this whole chemical constituency part of it, because it's not just one. Like, people think lavender, they think the plant, they think it's just, from this lavender plant, but it's so much more detailed into that. Can you go into that a little bit, Dr. Joy?
Well, like you're saying, I mean, if you look at that lavender as the example, there's a major compound in it called linalool, and that is found in several different other oils as well. And I mean, it's one of the ingredients that's on the European list of substances that must be listed on fragrances, because of, exactly like you're saying, the sensitivities that people can have to it. It's not just the linalool, though. It's often the oxidized version of the linalool, which happens as the product gets older. Fresh out of the bottle, it might be fine, but over months, maybe years, if someone's got the product still on their shelf, if they use it then they're more likely to get some sort of sensitization reaction because of the way the chemical changes. But it is fascinating, because it's not only the major components that are active in the oil, but there are some minor components that people really should be aware of. I don't know, did you get sensitized to bergamot oil at all? Did you have
I
trouble with that?
I've never used that, actually. I don't
That's
know.
probably just as well.
Okay.
Only just saying. I mean, it is another of the oils that has this linalool component in it. But in bergamot oil, that's not the thing to be cautious about. There's a very minor component, which is only like 0.3% in some of the oils of bergamot. And yet that's enough to cause a phototoxic reaction on people's skin if they put it on neat and then go out in the sun. And sometimes even if it's in dilution and then you go out in the sun, the UV light from the sun or even from a tanning bed can actually interact with that minor component and cause a sensitization reaction, which is really not very good.
No, and there have been several people who have had serious injuries and reactions from
Mm.
essential oils. The citrus ones, especially, are phototoxic, right? And
Well, particularly that bergamot one, which is a citrus, yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
So, Dr. Joy, I'd like to ask you a few questions today about research and the work that you're doing and so on. And going back to what we were just saying is how the MLMs say that it's okay to dilute or sorry to apply essential oils neat unless you have sensitive skin, or to take essential oils internally several times a day. There's no
Mm.
warnings. Um, there's no safety warnings, there's no usage advice warnings, anything like that. So how do
Mm.
we find a balance in between what the layman people are using, who just simply join doTERRA, get a kit and start selling the essential oils to people without any real knowledge, and they're only learning from the companies of, well, basically the companies just want to make more money, right? So they want you to use more oils and so on. So how do we balance that out a little bit to educate people in
Mm.
proper usage?
It's a very vexed question. I don't know how far to go back to start with this conversation, but when I first started out learning about the essential oils myself, I thought, oh my goodness, here is an amazing opportunity for me to look after my own health, not serious things like cancer or diabetes or hypertension or stuff like that, which really should be medicated by doctors who know what they're talking about. But things like bites and stings. I live in Australia and we have lots of ants and little insects that bite, mosquitoes, things like that, which cause discomfort on the skin. And fortunately we don't have much of those transmitted diseases like malaria or dengue fever or things like that, not yet. Island nation. Let's keep it that way. But I thought, oh great, and I tried out some of the oils on myself and thought, you know what, I'm having that in my medicine cabinet rather than Sting Ease or Burn Aid, or I'm just making these names up. I don't even know if there are such things called that. But it really I would hate to see people be afraid of using the oils for anything, because there are some great uses of them. And then anyone who's had arthritis pain knows that you can go and purchase over-the-counter liniments that you can rub into your joints, and it actually does give ease to the muscular aches and pains. And similarly with respiratory infections, if you've got a sinus infection or bronchitis or something like that, if you do a steam inhalation where you get a bowl of steaming water and you put a couple of drops of essential oil on, or even that, I don't know if you have Vicks VapoRub in the Canada or,
Yep.
but that same sort of idea. It's a essential oil based product. And as you inhale the vapors of the essential oil, it actually causes a sensation of clearing, and you can breathe more easily and you can sleep better, and it stops the coughing and da 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 da. I mean, it doesn't cure the disease, but it helps you bear the symptoms of it more easily. And that's, I think, what I would like to see people still being able to do.
Mhm.
But the question of ingestion is really, it's vexed for me. Really, it is. I actually have come out and said, don't do it. Just because, firstly, we don't know what the essential oils do unless there has been an evidence-based research project on it. There are some essential oil products which are out there which do have evidence. I mean, I mentioned one in that Unwell program, which is the lavender oil. But you know what? Lavender oil taken to help you with anxiety, why are you going to take it in a capsule and risk having gastrointestinal disturbances? Why not just inhale a few drops? You know, why not use it in a much milder dosage? Why do you have to take it internally? That's silly. If you're asking me, you know, it's effective as an inhaled compound, an inhaled essential oil. So don't put your body at risk of adverse effects, which can happen. The other thing also about ingestion is, you know, I've heard it said, you know, take 2 drops of something or other under your tongue and it will, it'll keep you well or promote cellular metabolism or blah, blah, blah. Some of these sort of sciencey sounding things, which when I look at it, I go, what do they mean? What? Where's the references? Where is the evidence for that? And yeah, that as far as I can see, there is no evidence of clinical human trials showing that when people do that, it helps XYZ happen, you know, whatever the benefit is. So unless you're a doctor and you know your own diagnosis, and you've been to a doctor and you've got a diagnosis and the doctor's working with you using essential oils in a medicinal fashion, I'd say just don't take them internally at all. Don't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember when I first enrolled with doTERRA, and they were saying, you know, I think it was the lemon, just 1 drop of the lemon essential oil was equal to, don't quote me, but it was like 22 lemons or whatever that was. And they were saying, you know, like, drink the lemon oil in your water and drink it all day long. And then after I had been injured, I thought, you know, the brainwashing again, but it was after the fact where I thought, who needs to drink a glass with 22 lemons in it? That is way too much for our systems to handle at once. That is way too much for our bodies. And then to drink it all day long.
Yeah, this has no essential oil in, by the way, just checking.
But I think we're over, the mass majorities of people who are not trained as aromatherapists are over inundating their bodies with these chemical constituents, and they are having ill effects, and some of them know that it's from the oils eventually, and they, you know, figure that out, and some of them just don't know why they're feeling these ill effects or having the, you know, bowel disruptions or the just, you know, all these other issues that are coming out, and they're not understanding where they're coming from, which is why I think it's so important for us to speak out and speak honestly about this, and just saying, like, this is probably not very good for your body. Would that
Long term, particularly.
right?
I mean, if you actually are sick and you're using a medicine, you only use the medicine as long as you are sick.
Right.
You don't take medicine ongoingly unless it's something like warfarin and you've been diagnosed with the need for that, or something, or your statins or something for your blood pressure or your cholesterol levels or something. But essential oils are not like that. They're more for acute conditions. If you're going to talk about medicine at all, you know, like I mentioned, the bites or the stings or respiratory infections, things like that. Yeah. I'm not going to be putting essential oils on my skin just in case I get bitten by an ant, you know, or, you know, this is, doesn't make sense. Or inhale the essential oils just in case I catch a virus. Or though maybe in the terms these days, that might not be a good word to use.
Yeah, probably not.
Anyway, so but it's yeah, I don't know. Have I answered your question?
Yes, and
Yeah.
the other thing that just came to mind is we were saying, use it as a medicine. And there's so many people out there that are putting, especially on Pinterest, and so many things how to boost your immune system, how to, cold and flu season, what to take and how many times a day to take it. And there's all these concoctions of all these different essential oils. And what do you say about that? Like, can essential oils that together boost your immune system against the viruses and the bacterias and all these other things that are out there? Because I look at all of this going, you don't know what you're talking about. Again, where's the science behind it? Where's your
Mm.
diploma in your studying of aromatherapy?
Yeah, and not even just of aromatherapy, but of health. I
Yes.
mean, what is the immune system? Who can actually describe the immune system? And then if something boosts your immune system, does that actually mean that you get a heightened immune response
Hmm.
to the essential oil itself? Because if that's the case, then you're actually having an allergic reaction or a sort of an immune response to your oils, which is not what you want.
Right.
And I have not enough understanding myself about the immune system and how it really functions to know that how essential oils could possibly boost it. Mm. I, I- you know,
Right.
I know there's quite a bit of work done on how essential oils kill bacteria in
Yes.
the laboratory,
Hmm.
but there's very little clinical evidence of showing how the essential oils affect the bacteria when they're in the human body. Very little. There's symptom relief. There's evidence about symptom relief, but actually killing the bacteria, very little clinical evidence. We're
Really?
still waiting for it, still working on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because I've known about it the in vitro and in the laboratory, but I didn't know they didn't really have it actually on humans, which is important.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly where we're at the moment, is this need for clinical research
Hmm.
for essential oils to take it forwards.
Um,
Yeah.
the other concern that I really have, Joy, in why I really want to do what I do is, as you said, people can experiment on their own. They know how their bodies are feeling and
Hmm.
what they're doing.
That's right. Yeah.
My biggest concern is when it comes to what they're doing with their children
Ah,
and using the
no.
essential oils and making them drink them. And for example, on the series Unwell that we were both a part of, Dr. Eric Z is making his children drink essential oils. He is spraying his children with essential oils. And in the first scene, his son and daughter are in this car and he
Hmm.
comes along spraying them. And you can visibly see his son go, ooh, he didn't want them. So this is my biggest concern, is when people think that, and I really believe they think that they're doing something good for their children because there are people out there who are
Hmm.
saying that it's perfectly safe. I don't see that as safe. So I would love
Hmm.
to hear your expert opinion on that. I put
So
you on the
the
spot.
thing to say is about, sorry?
I just put you on the spot.
Yeah. Okay, you did. That's okay. No, with children, part of the issue is that most of the research that we do have has been done on adults. There's very little evidence on how much is safe in children. I know in the mainstream aromatherapy community, they make a recommendation that if you're using essential oils, you should dilute them, particularly on the skin, and between 1 to 3% for adults. And then they suggest that for children, it's up to 1% dilution, if you want those nice well-being effects, the smell of it, and so on. And so to give essential oils to children in their food, in their drink, and recommending the lavender, or no, not lavender, the lemon in the water, or peppermint oil, or whatever. We just don't know what the results will be. And because children are smaller than us, even if their livers were as mature and well functioning as adult livers, they're still smaller. So in terms of the dose that you'd be giving them, you've certainly got to limit the dose. If uh, I can't stop people giving their children essential oils, people are just going to do what they do.
Hmm.
And as a parent, you know, I used some essential oils on my son, but in dilution and only when it was needed. No, don't do the daily regime thing, putting it in everything. No,
No, I
not even
agree.
for yourself. No. And unless there is evidence, you're just risking it.
And would you suggest to somebody to, I know you had said earlier to use it as medicine and consult your doctor. Would you also say that it would be beneficial to go see an aromatherapist?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that would, I mean, well, two things. If it's a disease or if it's an illness, you
Right.
should be seeing your doctor first of all, regardless. Don't try and treat yourself with essential
Mhm.
oils. You notice you've got a lump appeared on your arm that is black and festering. Do not try
Right.
and put essential oils on that. Go straight to the doctor. It may be melanoma and you may be dead in 2 weeks. Hurry up, go to the doctor straight
Yeah.
away. But if it's something and you've maybe you're not feeling so well, or you've got a bit of anxiety or something like that, by all means, absolutely go to an aromatherapist first, because they get trained in anatomy and physiology. They also come at things usually from a holistic perspective. So they'll ask you about all the sorts of things going on in your life. And you may find that, what the anxiety is about is actually something to do with, nothing to do with actually health, but more to do with relationships. And the aromatherapist will probably suggest that you get some counseling or something like that, but at the same time we'll be able to recommend an essential oil blend that will help you manage it for yourself. So yeah,
Mhm. I
absolutely.
completely agree on that. I just thought of one other thing, Joy. On the Netflix series Unwell, you had made a statement in the trailer that I just loved, that caught my eye, and it said, "You don't know what's out there. There could be sharks."
Yes.
Would you like to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, I do. Just that, if you're swimming, I think the phrase was, we're swimming in uncharted waters
Okay.
and we don't know what's out there. And that's really the status that we're at. I mean, when you're using essential oils, if you're using them in low dose, it's probably going to be all right. And if you're not saturating your lifestyle with essential oils, you're not likely to have reactions like you had, which, are devastating. And yeah, and we actually don't know. And the sharks comment was about, unscrupulous people perhaps wanting to say, this will cure cancer and that will do, will
Mhm.
whatever claim that people make, without sufficient evidence. And until the waters get charted, if you know what I mean, until we have that evidence base, it's quite an experimental practice, I think. Yeah, I mean, I've got a bottle here of a little bottle of neroli,
Mhm.
and it's good I didn't sniff it at the beginning, because I find this particular fragrance gives me a nice sort of a lift, and I don't know why it does that. It's just the smell of it. I really like it.
Right.
But it can, can make me a bit silly.
Makes you
So, but I
happy.
don't know why it does that.
Makes you
Sorry.
happy.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And if people are happy to be careful, and to get some health training, even,
Mhm.
to find out what the effects of the oils are. If you have too much, I mean, who knows what a toxicity reaction looks like? Unfortunately, you do.
Yes,
But headaches, nausea,
that's right.
rashes. What else?
It could be a huge range of so many different things, like you said, nausea, diarrhea, headaches, rashes, and there's so many different
Throat.
signs.
Mm,
Throat, yeah.
yeah,
So something that all of a sudden you're just not feeling well. It could be dizziness, lightheadedness. There are so many effects that it can have on your body that we might think is mild, or we might, attribute it to, just not feeling well or feeling under the weather or just tiredness or so on. But
yeah,
really, and that's why so many people haven't stated that they've been reacted to essential oils because it's not something that's common knowledge. They don't realize that that's what's happening to them and why
Mm.
it's happening to them.
Yeah. Well, that might be a topic for another
Mhm.
conversation. What are their toxic effects? Just to tell people,
Yeah,
if you're this is what I felt. If you're feeling this too, and you're using essential oils in a lot, and in high dosage, maybe that's what's going on.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, there definitely is going to be a lot of other discussions coming up. So
Yeah.
thank you so
Cool.
much for joining us today, Dr. Joy. I'm happy to
You're
have
welcome.
you here, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can have you back at another time. Is there
Okay. Oh,
is
there's
there any?
lots of other people.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know, we'll get
Yeah.
around to it. Is there anything else
Yeah.
you'd like to add before we leave today?
Um, I don't think so. Just, yeah, be safe. Yeah,
Yeah,
be wise, be safe.
be wise.
Find out your information. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much
Okay.
for watching. Thank you, Dr. Joy. You can get along with your day now. And then I
Yeah.
invite you to give this video a thumbs up and click the subscribe button below for future videos coming out like this and many more. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.